Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Brian here. This is my first Geoguessr video. I have been playing the game off and on now for a couple years, and just recently decided I kind of wanted to try and actually get better at it and not just play it on my phone haphazardly as I try and kill time, waiting at the car dealership for an oil change or on my break or wasting far too much time on it as I lay in bed when I should be sleeping. So instead, I decided to do a more methodical approach. I finally started playing on the laptop and I started using the Learnable Meta maps where you can target specific things that you want to learn. And I have been spending a lot of time using those, really just trying to make sure I have as much information as possible. So when I am served clues that will help me figure out where I am, I actually recognize them. There's probably still tons that I don't know. I've really only been focusing on the meta learning for about a week to 10 days now. So this is really early on in my process, but I thought it would be fun to kind of document my road to hopefully becoming a better GeoGuessr. So uh, I've been playing the multiplayer duels, trying to get myself up to different levels. I started out in silver level 3 when I did my kind of test in or whatever they have you play a certain number of games to place you in the correct division. So I was silver level 3 and I ended up finishing silver level 3 in second place and was promoted to silver level 1. Currently, or sorry, silver level 2. I finished silver level 2 in first place and was promoted to silver level 1, which is where I currently am. And at the moment, I am in second place. There's about a week left in that division. I think maybe 6.5 days left before that division closes. So I will hopefully continue to keep my status in the tier of players who are upgraded to the gold tier, which is when I believe I will get my actual GeoGuessr ranking, how I rank against other players. Because the level system that they have here is uh, based on the number of games you play and the number of wins you have, but not necessarily where you rank against other players. So I will get what's called I believe, my ELO, which is my worldwide ranking. So I'll be able to see kind of how I stack up against other players around the world or in the same country that I'm in. So without further ado, let's jump into this game that I played. This was a duel with a player. I'm not really sure where that is that Peru. I can't really tell with it being washed out like that. Um, but we'll go ahead and hit play there. So I didn't record audio in real time, so I'm doing this after the fact. So I zoomed in here. I noticed the Glasgow on the sign there, so I immediately know with the license plates that are UK license plates and the Glasgow on the street. Obviously, pretty easy guess in Glasgow. I end up 1.6 miles away. They were 194 miles away. So we remain at 6,000 points and we take 1,035 points off of them. Move on to round two here. And in this one, I have some issues where I pop down from the overpass here down to the road below it, but it turns out to be a bit fortuitous. So first, we do a little swirl around here, see if there's anything behind us. I clocked the EU license plates with the blue stripe on the left side there. Moving forward, get distracted by the tram because it's pretty cool looking. Then decide, okay, I'm going to go one click further forward, and then one more up, and now I've dropped down to the street below, which is kind of annoying. Look up here at this festival sign here, seeing if I can get a city out of it, and I don't see anything that I immediately recognize as a city. So I look over here to see what this sign says, and I think as I zoom away, I realize, wait, I think that's the font that is only used in Poland, and I recognize the language as looking Polish. So decide to go ahead and throw my guess in to put the pressure on the opponent here. So I zoom in to Warsaw, thinking it's most likely the biggest city. So go ahead, plonk my guess in, and I end up 2.9 miles away, and they are 283 miles away. They were in a different city in Western Poland. So they did find the correct country, but they weren't necessarily close enough to mitigate the damage. So move on to round 3 and do the customary little pan around, see if I can find any obvious information that will help me figure out where I am. Don't see anything just yet. I see the EU license plates, so we know we are likely in the European Union. Just move over here, looking at the language, looks Baltic. Not exactly a language expert, but lots of S's and Z's. Then I look over here and I see the bottom of this window, the .hu domain name means we are in Hungary. So I zoom in and put a guess in the center of Budapest. And we are uh, in the wrong city. So we are not in Budapest. We are in in Hungary, as I said by the domain name, but we are in a city called Debrecen. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that, but we are close enough to do some damage to them and to not take any damage ourselves. We were 120 miles away. They were 209 miles. So we take another 441 points off of them. They are now down to just below 3,100 points as we move into round 4, the last round before we get to rounds with multiplier rounds. Immediately, I'm thinking this looks like Japan. I see the Japanese script up there, see the yellow license plate over here, kind of looking around, going down this alleyway, trying to get to a bigger road to see if I can see any English. Usually, if you can find a lot of English, that means you're in one of the bigger cities. But if I don't really know where I am specifically, I will almost always hedge my bets and go to Osaka in the middle of the country because that way, if it's northeast or southwest from there. I'm sort of in the middle. So I should have gone to Tokyo. Um, my go to is usually to go in the capital city or the biggest city, but I have been burned by it enough times in the past in Japan. When if you get to one of the southern islands and you go too far north, you could be very far away and do a lot of damage to yourself. So hedged my bets didn't necessarily pay off this time, but I still was closer than the opponent. I was 254 miles away. They were 293. So we take another 173 points damage from them, and we move on to round 5 with 1.5 points or 1.5 times damage. Looking around to see if anything sticks out. Don't see anything just yet. Trying to see if I can see any language on the signs. Unfortunately, as I move forward, that sign gets covered by the tree. And I look over at this car here. We pause for a second and just go back just a bit. So I look at this car here and I see the language. It's obviously some sort of Southeast Asian language. And my first thought is that it looks like it's Thai, but with the curb being right next to the right side of the car, it looks like they're driving on the right hand side. And that kind of confuses me because they drive on the left in Thailand. So I start to think, oh, maybe we're in one of the other Southeast Asian countries. So you'll see me zoom in here and initially put my guess into Laos. But then I remember that it was a divided road. So what you can see over here is a divider, and I believe there may have even been like water in the middle or grass or some kind of divider in the middle. And then the lane going the opposite direction is far over here on the other side of the dividers. So we are actually driving on the left. It was just a little confusing. And thankfully, at the very last second, it occurred to me that it was divided and that we were actually driving on the left, which meant we were most likely in the one of the bigger cities in Thailand. And I just quickly threw a guess down in Bangkok, and we end up 3.8 miles away, and they were 9 miles away. So we take another 46 points of damage from them and move on to round 6 with double damage. Again, it looks like we got some Southeast Asian writing, maybe Cambodian, Laotian, Vietnamese. I'm not the best at figuring that out, but we can see that the cars here are driving on the right, which means that we are not in Thailand. So I'm able to rule that out. So we know it's between one of those three cities. They have limited coverage in some of those countries. I'm sorry, not cities, but in some of those countries, we're in between those three countries. They have limited coverage. So they can only be in a certain number of places in each of those countries, but I can't always remember which ones they have. I believe in Laos, it's only in two or three cities. Cambodia, I think, maybe has full coverage, but let me go back right here. When I go down a little bit, I notice this right here where it says the Guardian School of Phnom Penh. So I immediately go, oh, okay, I know that city. I roughly remember where that city is, and I go ahead and pull the map up and zoom on in and immediately click in Phuket because my brain just didn't work and I clicked the wrong city and I was like, oh my God, that's it. Where's Phnom Penh? Where's Phnom Penh? Okay, got my guess in just in time and managed to get 2.6 miles away compared to their 4.5. So we take another 22 points from them and they are now down to 28.54. So they're just below half their points, and we are still sitting on our full 6,000 points, 6 rounds in. So that's pretty good set of rounds so far for us. So we'll go into round 7, which is 2.5 times damage, and you'll see again we have the little yellow license plates, and we have the distinctive Japanese like fans. Looking at this taxi cab here or whatever this is to make sure there's not a city name somewhere on it. Looking around and it's getting a little confused because we're seeing some Chinese writing. Looks like maybe there's a Chinese like restaurant or something right there. So a little confusing for a second, but we do know that with the yellow license plates, we are indeed in Japan. So again, I'm coming down towards a bigger road to see if I can find any English that will let me know we're in one of the bigger cities. And then we see this bus here that says Okayama Car Driving School. So again, I go zoom in, throw a guess in Osaka for a second while I search for Okayama and immediately notice it because it's right next door and drop my guess in. And we end up 1.9 miles away. They were 3.6 miles away. So we take another 25 points from them. They are now down to 28-29, just slowly chipping away at them. This is a very even match between the two of us. So these are stressful but very fun afterwards to look back on. This round, not a great round for either of us. We're looking around here and not really seeing anything, checking the polls to see if they are octagonal, which would mean we're maybe in Mexico, and they don't look to be octagonal. We're looking around here where we're driving on the right, so we know that means we were definitely in Latin America somewhere. Obviously, we see some Spanish on that sign here. Zooming in to see if we can see anything about the city that we are in, and I can't read it. My eyes maybe are just not tuned into that well enough. And then I realized, oh, I haven't even checked the car meta. And I think when I look down that, oh, I think this is maybe the Puerto Rico car. So as I'm looking around again at the last couple seconds here, thinking, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and throw a Puerto Rico guess out and see if it ends up being correct. But it unfortunately does not. It is the Guatemala car, which is very similar to the Puerto Rican car, but the Guatemalan car has square mirrors, and I believe the Puerto Rican car has the rubber inserts on the roof rack. So got a little confused by that, but thankfully still managed to get a pretty close guess and still managed to be quite a bit closer than they were. I was 1,640 miles away. They were 3,534 miles away. So we remain uninjured in our points there, still have 6,000. And we move on to round 9 for 3.5 times damage, where you will see the green signs right here in the corner right away, which usually mean North America somewhere. And as I pan around here, you see the speed limit sign, And when it says 25, you know that that is in the US because they use kilometers an hour and they will say maximum in Canada. So we know right away we are in the US somewhere. Looking around to see if I see anything that will give me any hints on what region or state or city I might be in, because region guessing in the US can be really difficult, as a lot of it looks very similar, and you're not if you're off, you can be off by a lot, I guess. So I saw, let me go back real quick. I saw in the window here that this bar, which looks like it's called Quaff or Quaffs, uh, looks like they have in the window, we love KC baseball and KC soccer. So that would lead me to believe, more than likely, that this is Kansas City. So I go ahead and zoom in, drop my guess in Kansas City, and we were 1.4 miles away. They got close as well at 1.9 miles away. So again, just chipping away, making sure I don't take any damage. So we're still flawless at the moment. And now we'll go into round 10, which is quadruple damage. So basically, unless we both get really, really, really similar guesses, someone's going to win in this round. So we'll do a little customary pan around like we always do, and look up the street here. And decide just to go ahead and run up here and see if there's anything up here. Don't see anything identifiable on that sign that would tell me where we are. And then right now, as I move, I see that that license plate was yellow, so it was that one. And then just to make sure that I'm not mistaken, I glance over here, see the three yellow license plates there, which means we are in Colombia, as I mentioned earlier. When you see those skinny license plates in Latin America that are yellow, you're in Colombia. So I just go and drop my guess into the city of Bogota, and we are 1.1 miles away, and they are 1,514 miles away. So we have finally done them in. They lost their final 962 points with a negative score of 16,764 on that final round. So you can really see how quickly it adds up when you get to those multipliers, because um, that distance away was only 1,800 points um, difference a couple rounds ago. So I think this was a really cool game, a really interesting set of rounds with some interesting meta that we got to use. We got some obvious ones like the Glasgow one where it just said the city, but then we had to recognize the font in Poland, which was interesting. And then in which one was this one? I can't even remember which one this was now. But then we had to recognize some license plates. We had to recognize some domain names, and just basically got to use a varied bit of meta that I have been able to learn over the last week or so. And I'm pretty proud of myself for getting as all the way 10 rounds in and kind of going neck and neck with this guy. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these and sharing more with you to really kind of see how I progress, if I progress. Um, my goal is not to become a pro player or anything like that. My goal is just to have fun. I really love geography, and I really love being able to see a lot of these places that otherwise I would probably never see. I would probably never have the opportunity to travel to most of these places. So being able to see them through Geoguessr is just a really fun way to kind of entertain myself while also learning and having a little bit of competition with people all around the world. So hopefully I'll see you on the next one.